Is there? Are we on? Are we on, Trev? Are we on? Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of BeerSweden TV. I'm particularly excited about this. This is what I love about BeerSweden TV. The last tasting that we did was of a beer that's just coming out in Systembolaget called Mohawk. In fact, we've got the bottle here. Mohawk Barley Wine. And while I was rabbiting on about it, Trev, I mentioned the fact about the different styles of barley wine, US barley wine and British or English styles of barley wine. And I said that this was a beer that is a keeper. You know, it's a type of beer that really does benefit from cellaring, from aging, from, you know, keep it a few years and it evolves in the bottle, it just gets better and better. So I thought, well, what better way to try and demonstrate that to you, to try and explain the effects of aging on beer than to actually have what we call a vertical tasting. Have you ever done one of those, Trev?
Stood on my head.
No, what, drunk beer upside down? No. Vertical tasting is when you basically try the same type of beer, the same style of beer, the exact same beer, but in different vintages. And it just so happens that in my rather extensive beer cellar, I have got a bottle of, or two bottles, one which has just been released at the Systembolaget last week from North Coast Brewing, down there in, or over there should I say, in California. Old stock ale. Can you see that? This is the 2010 just released vintage. And what I've got downstairs is still a bit dusty. Look at that, there's a bit of dust on it. Here's the same beer but from 2006, and what we're going to do is we're going to try both, and we're going to try and see if there's been any difference, whether 4 years in the bottle has made any difference to the beer. Interesting stuff, Trev, don't you think? Mm-hmm. Okay, so what we're going to do, talk a little bit about the beer first of all. The beer itself is a bit of a classic now. This is one of the beers that I think has been released regularly every year in the Systembolaget, and it's one of those beers I always recommend. When you see it, buy it. As I said with Mohawk, buy at least 2 bottles. Buy one, drink it now. Buy the other one, lay it down, cellar it, keep it for a few years, because I'm hoping I'll be able to demonstrate to you that it just gets better and better and better. It is brewed, it's a US beer, but it's actually a US barley wine, but it actually, again, as Mohawk did, uses traditional English hops in it. This time it's Fuggles. In Mohawk it was East Kent Goldings, or Goldings. In this one it's Fuggles, and it uses Maris Otter pale malt as well. So English ingredients from a US brewery, and it's producing a barley wine which by recognition is one of the best ones out there. So I'm going to kick off, I think, by trying the 2010 first, and then we're going to turn the clock back 4 years and try the 2006. So first of all, what's the one? 2006. First of all, let's pop this little one open. Again, a lot of aggressive CO2 there. Pour it up for you. Look at the colour of this. Now this is a lovely, beautiful colour. Look, very clear this one, and very deep brown with a very attractive sort of red tinge to it, blood red tinge to it as well. Gorgeous looking stuff. Look at the head. You see, it's practically disappeared straight away. Again, very typical with barley wines, that. Give it a whirl, Trev. Give it a whirl. Now this one is completely different from the Mohawk that we tried in the previous episode. This one's got a lot of plum. A lot of fig, dates, prunes. Trev, I want you to smell this one. I really do, so that you can actually smell the difference. It's got dark treacle, it's got molasses in it. It's more intense, isn't it? Mm. Absolutely off the bat, far more intense in terms of the malt structure of this beer than the Mohawk. Absolutely delicious, almost nutritious sort of smell to it. It actually smells like it's going to do you good. It probably will. In terms of strength, this one's a big boy, 11.7% ABV. This is a monster of a barley wine. It has to be treated very carefully, with a lot of respect. It deserves it, absolutely deserves it. More carbonation than the Mohawk, absolutely. But what you're getting is this that almost sounded rude, Trevor. Tongue coating, not tongue toting, tongue coating effect. It really is sticky, this stuff. It's sticky. If you put it on your fingers, this is sticky stuff. It's sticky, it's syrupy, it's treacly. It really is. Again, it is toffee apples, this one. This is toffee apples, dates, a little bit of rum and raisin, but a very thick, powerful malt body to this beer. It's absolutely delicious. And this is only 2010 we're talking about. This, to me, buy it now, drink this at the Christmas table. The Christmas table this year, absolute winner. I haven't talked about barley wine and how you pair it with food, but it's something I should do, because quite honestly, I do a lot of beer and food pairings in my job, and this, to me, barley wine, this style of barley wine in particular, is an absolute given. Put this at the cheese course with the cheese course, and I promise you, you're going to blow away all the wine guys that say that, you know, that wine is the obvious partner to cheese. Absolute codswallop. This really is, to me, where the rubber does meet the road. Barley wines have that intensity, they have that malt structure, they have that sweetness that plays beautifully against things like blue cheeses, Stiltons in particular, I think, rough, mature cheddars. Powerful cheeses need a powerful beer to butt up against, otherwise they're just going to blow them away. Barley wines have got the muscle and some to be able to do that, and I think really, if you've never tried cheese with a barley wine before, do it, because it will revolutionise the end of your meal. It sounds a little bit dramatic, maybe I'm being a little bit theatrical, but I honestly believe it. And this beer, I think, is a great example. An American brewery that's taken the English style, hasn't screwed around with it too much like American breweries tend to do, but what they've done is produced a classic and high quality English style barley wine. 2 thumbs up to North Coast here. Absolutely delightful.
You did actually try it with cheese when your dad was here.
Yeah, well, that was another style. That was a barley wine from the Egg, wasn't it? That was a barley wine from the Egg. And again, those sorts of things. Yeah, a lot of that's in here actually as well. That sort of toffee. I think we mentioned toffee apple there. That's in here too. Absolutely. Trev, have you tried it?
I'll do it later.
Okay. I've just thought of one thing. I need another glass. Otherwise, I've got to down all of this. Trev, if you can go get another glass, I'll carry on talking about barley wine. Now, in terms of aging, it's something that a lot of people have asked me on the blog about aging beer. Can you age beer? What beers can you age? What's the effect of aging, and so on? Well, of course, yes, you can to all of those things, but you need to have a beer that's got a bit of muscle in it. It has to have a certain amount of, thanks very much, John, has to have a certain amount of guts to it to be able to stand the test of time. Barley wine, of course, which normally starts around about 9–10%, can go up to about 14% ABV, has the alcohol, the preservative factor in it that is required to benefit from aging. So let's have a look and see what happens 4 years later. Same beer from the same brewery, but 4 years in the bottle. Let's see what happens. Again, a little puff there, so you've got a little bit of pressure in the bottle, which is a good sign. Let's pour it up and see if there's any difference here in terms of colour. Now I'm seeing straight away a slight shade or two darker. Can you see that, Trev? Can I hold them up together? Can you see there that it's actually got darker?
Right, yeah. The right one looks like a Scotch ale.
It absolutely is. This one is more like a Scotch ale. This one is actually quite sort of rude red sort of colour, isn't it? This one's definitely got darker, more brown sort of tinge to it. Right, so there's difference number one. Interesting stuff, this, isn't it? Interesting stuff. Give it a whirl, Trev. Even if it's old, got to give it a whirl. Now it's old. When we say old, this is 4 years old in the bottle. Not particularly old in barley wine world. You can actually keep barley wines up to and beyond 25 years. Okay, so although this is 4 years old, it's still a bit of a whippersnapper when it comes to barley wine. Now, wow, there's a significant difference in the nose here. Wood. There's a lot of wood. This actually feels like it's sat in an oak barrel for these 4 years. I don't think that's actually really happened, but you're getting a lot more, and there's a dryness to it. there's a dryness to it, like almost like sort of leathery sort of smell coming through as well. Everything's kind of got a little bit more dense, a little bit more intense. It smells old. It reminds me of churches for some reason. You've got, you know, the air in a church. You know that kind
pews.
of. Yeah, you know that. You go into a church and you get that sense of history. It actually smells it in the air. I don't know what that is, but kind of, if you could translate that, that's kind of gone into the beer here. Incredibly rich. And I want you to smell this, Trev. Let's see if you can get the difference. You can see it in the colour. Heads collapsed, absolutely.
God,
it's the first
yeah.
one. Can you see it? Can you smell it? Straight away. I mean, it's like it's doubled up.
Dare I say it, it's a sort of a sherry smell, am I wrong?
10 points to the man behind the camera.
I'm learning.
Sherry, a little bit of sherry, actually a lot of sherry. You're definitely getting sherry, sweet sort of sherry notes to it. It's becoming more wine-like, actually. That's exactly what's happening. Beautiful, beautiful, complex nose to it. And this is absolutely delightful. This is glorious, glorious beer. It's still sweet, yes, the sweetness is there, but it's a different kind of sweetness now. It's not sort of spiky sweetness, as I call it. This is soft, it's matured, it's smoothed out. The malts are there, the dried, the plums, the raisins, the molasses, they're all there. It's even softer in terms of carbonation. There's practically none. This is almost flat liquid that we're drinking here. But it's, instead of being sticky sweet, it's actually just left with that very nice sherry dryness to it at the end. Absolutely stunning. I would rank this up there with some of the best barley wine that I've had. In terms of rating, Trev, I'm going to go with the 2010 vintage. I'm giving it 3.5, borderline 4. But with the 2006, 4 years in the bottle, same beer people, but with 4 years in the bottle, I'm going 4.5, and I'm tempted. I'm absolutely tempted. Actually, I'll tell you what, I'm giving it 5. I'm giving it 5 because I absolutely think that this barley wine, with some years under its belt, is sensational. The booze is there. It's 11.7%, but you wouldn't know it. It covers its booze colours beautifully. It really is a sensational beer. So there we have it. Our first vertical tasting on BeerSweden. We're going to do more of these because I think it's actually a very interesting look into the evolution, into the story of a beer. I'm not
That's
quite
the
sure.
third 5 we've had.
Sorry?
Third 5.
I know, we're throwing them out now. We don't care, do we? So I'm going to leave you now because I've got an awful lot of time and a lot of I've got to pay a lot of attention to this beer. It deserves it. So until next time, cheers and beers.